the deity. One should meditate upon the deity. One should render some voluntary service. One should think of the Lord as one's friend. One should offer everything to the Lord. One should offer a favorite article such as food or a garment. One should take all kinds of risks and perform all endeavors for Krishna's benefit. In every condition, one should be surrendered soul. One should pour water on the Tulsi tree. One should regularly hear Srimad Bhagavatam and similar literature. One should live in a sacred place like Mathura, Vrindavana, or Dwaraka. One should offer service to Vaishnavas, devotees. One should arrange one's devotional service according to one's means. In the month of Kartika, October and November, one should make arrangements for special service. During Janmashtami, the time of Krishna's appearance in this world, one should observe a special service. One should do whatever is done with great care and devotion for the deity. One should relish the pleasure of Bhagavatam reading among devotees and not among outsiders. One should associate with devotees who are considered more advanced. One should chant the holy name of the Lord. One should live in the jurisdiction of Mathura. Now the total regulative principles come to an aggregate of 64 items. As we have mentioned, the first are the primary 10 regulative principles. Then come the secondary 10 regulative principles, and added to these are 44 other activities. So altogether, there are 64 items for discharging the regulative practices of devotional service. Out of these 64 items, 5 items, namely worshipping the deity, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, associating among the devotees, Sankirtana, and living in Mathura are very important. The 64 items of devotional service should include all of our activities of body, mind, and speech. As stated in the beginning, the regulative principles of devotional service enjoins that all of our senses must be employed in the service of the Lord. Exactly how they can be thus employed in described in the above 64 items. Now Srila Rupa Goswami will give evidence from different scriptures supporting the authenticity of many of these points. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for reading so nicely. So now, actually, I remember, I think we read last time anyway. So, yes, so now in the next chapter, okay, so now we just read all the 64 items. Now in the next chapter, there will be a description of different principles in detail. Understood? The importance of all the items. So actually, this is very important bhakti, because sometimes, after some years, we become little, we say the same thing, same temple, same chanting. So we may not take things seriously sometimes. Does it happen to some of you? Right? So therefore, when we read the glories, so you will see from different shastras, from different shastras, all these things are explained so much, so wonderfully in detail. So our faith will increase so much. So let us read one by one. You'll really like it. So so let's just go through the chart once. Yeah. So chapter 6, we just saw the 64. So you see, how is the 64 grouped together? Please see this, very important. So can you all see the screen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So you see 20 are primary importance. If you saw, the first one is accepting one of its spiritual master and other things. So 20 principle. So out of 20, 10 is to do, pravriti, and 11 to 12 nivriti. That means how to avoid offenses, avoiding association of materialistic people. So these are nivriti, things to be avoided. Right? Then there are 44 additional items of service. So there are 44 ways to engage in Shravanam, Kirtanam, different forms of Archanam. So these are different items of sadhana, 21 to 59. How many? 30, 39.
38.
Yeah. Then, actually, if you include 21 and 59, it will become 39 actually. We count in that way, right? And then 60 to 64 are 5. That is the 5 most important forms of devotional service. You all know what Mahaprabhu told. So these 64 principles are actually taught by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami. And then in the end, Mahaprabhu says these 5 are most important. What are the 5?
Worshipping the deity, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, associating among the devotees, Sankirtan, and living Mathura.
Thank you. Very nice. So these are the 5 most important. Okay. And why is the first 3 items considered very most important? Because Guru is the one who introduces one to all other items. So therefore, first 3 are very important. Taking shelter of bona fide Guru, taking initiation and asking questions. The same thing Krishna says, Tadvidhi Pranipatena Pariprashana Sevaya. Because then only we get to know all these other items of sadhana. Okay. From chapter 7 now, we'll start with the elaborate description of different items. So Rupa Goswami will quote from various scriptures, various details about the importance of each and every aspect of these 64 different angas. So now I want different devotees to take turn. Kalyani Mataji read a lot. So who will like to read next?
Prabhuji, shall I read?
Yes, please.
Chapter 7, Evidence regarding devotional principles. Accepting the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd chapter, verse 21, Prabhupada tells Maharaj Nimi, My dear king, please know for certain that in the material world there is no happiness. It is a simply mistake to think that there is happiness here, because this place is full of nothing but miserable conditions. Any person who is seriously desirous of achieving real happiness must seek out of a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him by initiation. The qualification of a spiritual master is that he must have realized the conclusion of the scriptures by deliberation and arguments and thus be able to convince others of these conclusions. Such great personalities who have taken shelter of the Supreme Godhead, leaving aside all material considerations, are to be understood as bona fide spiritual masters. Everyone should try to find such a bona fide spiritual master in order to fulfill his mission of life, which is to transfer himself to the plane of spiritual bliss. The purport is that one should not accept as a spiritual master someone who is fool number one, who has no direction according to the scriptural injunctions, whose character is doubtful, who does not follow the principles of devotional service, or who has not conquered the influence of the 6 sense gratifying agents. The 6 agents of yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, no.
Shall I
Please
continue?
continue. Please continue.
The 6 agents of sense gratification are the tongue, the genitals, the belly, anger, the mind, and words. Anyone who has practiced controlling these 6 is permitted to make disciples all over the world. To accept such a spiritual master is the crucial point for advancement in spiritual life. One is fortunate enough to come under the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, is sure to traverse the path of spiritual salvation without any doubt. Accepting initiation from the spiritual master and receiving instructions from
wait. But just the first point is accepting shelter. That means Padashraya. Adu Guru Padashraya. So we take, we say that taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada Ashraya, we say in ISKCON. So the verse quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam is a very famous verse. Tasmat Gurum Prapadyeta Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam Shabde Parisha Nishnatam Brahmani Upa Shamashrayam. So a very famous verse, Prabhupada quoted often. Tasmat Gurum Prapadyeta. So we must take shelter of a bona fide Guru. That's the first step of devotional service. And then Prabhupada is saying, what means the qualification of the Guru? What verse the Prabhupada quoted?
Vacho Vegam Manasa.
Vacho Vegam Manasa Protavim. He should be able to control the 6 urges. Very good. Okay, now the second item, that is
accepting initiation from the spiritual.
taking initiation. Yes, Dikshadi Sikshanam. Actually, so the Sanskrit word is Dikshadi Sikshanam. That means taking Diksha and Siksha. So that's Prabhupada saying accepting initiation and receiving instruction. Yes. So somebody else? Yes, Mahasundari Mataji, I think want to read. Please read.
Sage Prabuddha continued to speak to the king as follows. My dear king, a disciple has to accept the spiritual master not only as spiritual master but also as a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Super Soul. In other words, the disciple should accept the spiritual master as God because he is the external manifestation of Krishna. This is confirmed in every scripture, and a disciple should accept the spiritual master as such. One should learn Srimad Bhagavatam seriously and with all respect and veneration for the spiritual master. Hearing and speaking Srimad Bhagavatam is the religious process which elevates one to the platform of serving and loving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The attitude of the disciple should be to satisfy the bona fide spiritual master. Then it will be very easy for him to understand spiritual knowledge. This is confirmed in the Vedas, and Rupa Goswami will further explain that for a person who has unflinching faith in God and the spiritual master, everything becomes revealed very easily.
Can someone say the Sanskrit words of this? That one who has unflinching faith in spiritual master and Krishna, everything becomes revealed? Yes, Sarvagya Gaurang Prabhu, Sankirtan Bus Party.
याद नहीं आ रहा
Abhay Chetan Prabhu. There's a very famous word, sir also quotes often, that one who has unflinching faith in Guru and Krishna, to him all the Vedic purports are revealed. Abhay Chetan, you are there or not there?
Yes, bro, I'm there.
Which verse is that? Yasya? Yasya Deve? No. Yasya Deve Parabhakti Yatha Deve Tatha Guru. Tashyeti Kathita Artha Prakashante Mahatma. So it's a very important verse from Shveta Upanishad, and Prabhupada also used to quote often that the secret, so this is a secret to understand the intricacies of spiritual life. So one must have unflinching faith in Guru and Krishna. Yasya Deve Para Yatha Deve Tatha Guru. One must have faith on both Guru and Krishna. So that's the second point, that is taking initiation and instructions. So you see, only initiation is not enough. Sometimes in ISKCON we think, "Arey, initiation ho gaya, hamara kaam ho gaya," right? Many devotees think that the aim is just to take initiation. That is absolutely wrong. Initiation means beginning. You see, initial, starting. More important, after initiation, you should give instructions. So this is an important topic we must understand. See, earlier time, many times Siksha Guru, Diksha Guru was the same person. So one should take Diksha from him and also Siksha from him. But in the ISKCON circumstance, the Diksha Guru has so many disciples, thousands of disciples, that it's not possible for him to give Siksha. Therefore, we need a practical devotee who can also give us instructions. Like all of us, we are fortunate to be getting instructions from Sir. And we may have different Diksha Guru, that's fine. Right? Like even in our Parampara, we see Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya, and Shyamanand Pandit. They are different Diksha Gurus. Narottam Das Thakur Diksha Guru was Loknath Goswami. Shyamanand Pandit Diksha Guru was Hridayanand Chaitanya. And Srinivas Acharya Diksha Guru was Gopal Bhatta Goswami. But the Siksha Guru was common. Who was that? Nobody knows. Jiva Goswami. Therefore, both are important, taking Diksha and Siksha. Therefore, Bhakti Shastri course is like taking Siksha. So we need to understand the instructions of scriptures. Third, Sevaya, serving the spiritual master with faith and confidence. Yes, someone else please read.
Regarding accepting initiation from the spiritual master, in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 17th chapter, verse 27, it is stated by Lord Krishna, "My dear Uddhava, a spiritual master must be accepted not only as my representative but as my very self. He must never be considered on the same level with an ordinary human being. One should never be envious of the spiritual master, as one may be envious of an ordinary man. The spiritual master should always be seen as the representative of the Supreme Person of Godhead, and by serving the spiritual master, one is able to serve all the demigods.
Yes. So this is that famous verse, which is Acharya Mam Bhijaniyat. That's famous verse that Krishna is saying that Acharya should be worshipped like me. One should know Acharya is myself, never disrespect. One should never envy. And Sarva Deva Maya Guru. That means Guru represents all the demigods. Okay. So very, very powerful, huh? Because sometimes devotees feel, Are, why we keep this photo of Sushma altar? No, he's representing all the demigods, you see. Okay. So the exact Sanskrit word for this is serving spiritual master is Vishrambhena Guru Seva. Okay. The fourth limb is following footsteps of saintly persons. What is the Sanskrit word? Anyone can guess?
Mahajanayana Gata Sapanta.
No. Okay, good guess. Sadhu Vartmanu Vartanam. Sadhu Vartmanu Vartanam. That means following in the footsteps of the saintly persons. So there's a quotation from Skanda Puran. Sarvagaram, please read.
In the Skanda Purana, it is advised that a devotee follow the past acharyas and saintly persons, because by such following, one can achieve the desired result with no chance of lamenting or being baffled in his progress. The scriptures known as Brahmayamala states as follows: if someone wants to pose himself as a great devotee without following the other.
So two examples. First, Skanda Puran is given, and then Brahmayamala. Yes.
If someone wants to pose himself as a great devotee without following the authorities of the revealed scripture, then his activities will never help to make progress in devotional service. Instead, he will simply create disturbance for the sincere students of devotional service. Those who do not strictly follow the principles of revealed scriptures are generally called sahajiyas. Those who have imagined everything to be cheap, who have their own concocted ideas, and who do not follow the scriptural injunctions, such persons are simply creating disturbances in the discharge of devotional service.
Okay. So can someone tell the Sanskrit verse of this translation? That means if someone does not follow the rules and regulations of scriptures and tries to perform devotional service, then is simply creating disturbance.
Shruti Smriti Puranadi.
Yes, very good. Yes, so the very famous words. Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidhim Vina. You can note down also if you want. Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidhim Vina Ekantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpadeva Kalpat. So must have quoted Srila Prabhupada in his lecture also, he quotes this often. So Nectar of Devotion, the Sanskrit verses are not there because Srila Prabhupada wrote this long time back. In 1969. So therefore that time he didn't, but at least the numbers are given, references are given. So that's why. So I'm taking, those of you want, you can actually also take a copy of, I think last time Abhay Chaitanya said you have this, right? Bhakti Rasan Sindhu, you have the Sanskrit one?
Yes.
You have a copy of?
Yes, I have both the parts.
Yes. So it's translation by Bhanu Swami, right?
Yes.
I also have the same copy. So very nice. So of course, I also have it, but have not read much. But now since I'm teaching, I just took out the section so that I can see the exact Sanskrit verses and the Sanskrit names. Okay, so let's carry on. I think we can move to the next one. Okay, let's read. I don't want to miss Prabhupada words, Let's read the full. Okay. Yes, would like to continue, Abhay Chetan Prabhu? In this connection?
Brahmayamala in this connection.
In this connection.
In this connection, an objection may be raised by those who are not in devotional service and who do not care for the revealed scriptures. An example of this is seen in Buddhist philosophy. Lord Buddha appeared in the family of a high-grade Kshatriya king, but his philosophy was not in accord with the Vedic conclusions and therefore was rejected. Under the patronage of the Hindu king Maharaj Ashok, Asuka, the Buddhist religion was spread all over India and adjoining countries. However, after the appearance of the great stalwart teacher Shankaracharya, this Buddhism was driven out beyond the borders of India. The Buddhists or other religionists who do not care for legal scripture sometimes say that there are many devotees of Lord Buddha who show devotional service to Lord Buddha and who therefore should be considered devotees. In answer to this argument, Rupa Goswami says that the followers of Buddha cannot be accepted as devotees. Although Lord Buddha is accepted as the incarnation of Krishna, the followers of such incarnation are not very advanced in their knowledge of the Vedas. In the Vedas means to come to the conclusion of the supremacy of the person of Godhead. Therefore, any religious principle which denies the supremacy of the person of Godhead is not accepted and is called atheism. Atheism means defying the authority of the Vedas and decrying the great acharyas who teach Vedic scriptures for the benefit of the people in general.
Okay. So you see very strongly Prabhupada is saying that one may say that devotees of Buddha are also devotees, because Buddha is also incarnation of Krishna. But why they are not devotees? Because they don't follow
Scriptures.
scriptures. They don't follow Vedas. Therefore, bhakti is something which must be undertaken as per Vedas.
They reject Vedas.
Yes. So that is why they are not bona fide devotees. Otherwise, one may say Buddha is also incarnation of Krishna. So if anybody is doing, like we said, Anya Vilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam, that word Krishna can also include incarnation of Krishna Buddha. But the problem is that they are not doing Anukulyena. They are not favorably doing because they are not following scriptures. And therefore, Prabhupada is saying sometimes these so-called religionists, they say that Okay, next. After this, so this was number 3. Number 4. Sadhu Vartmanu Vartanam, that was number 4. Okay, number 5, inquiry about eternal religious principles. That is Sadharma Pricha. That is Upadaksh, what is that? Tadvidhi Pranipatari Pariprashnena. So say asking questions. The Sadharma Pricha. Naradi Purana, it is said that if one is actually very serious about devotional service, then all of his purposes will be served without any delay. Okay, then number 6 is being prepared to give up everything material for Krishna's satisfaction. The exact Sanskrit is Krishnarthe Bhogadi Tyaga. So Padma Puran, there is an example. For one who has given up his material sense enjoyment and has accepted the principles of devotional service, the opulence of Vaikuntha is awaiting. Hari Muddishya Bhogani Kale Tyaktavatasthava Vishnu Loka Sthita Sampat Alola Sa Pratikshate. Right? So that means in one sense we are not renouncing anything. So even if you give a material pleasure, but in return what we'll get? क्या मिलेगा श्री कृष्ण को? अरे अभी पढ़ा ना इधर.
Vaikuntha.
Opulence of Vaikuntha, right? तो मतलब जितना यहाँ पे छोड़े उससे 1000 गुना ज्यादा हैप्पीनेस मिलेगा. हमें लगता है क्या we are not seeing movies or we are not enjoying like materialistic people, but whatever little enjoyment we are giving up here, we'll get thousands of times more happiness in or opulence in
Vishnu Loka.
Vaikuntha Loka. Okay, next. Dwarkadi Nivaso, that is residing in holy place. Padhiya Asal Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. In the Skand Puran, it is also said that for a person who has lived in Dwarka for 6 months, for 1 month, or even for 1 fortnight, there is awaiting elevation to the Vaikuntha Lokas and all the profits of Sarupya Mukti, the privilege of having the same 400 bodily features of Narayan. In the Brahma Puran, it is said the transcendental significance of Purushottam Kshetra, which is the 80 square mile field of Lord Jagannath, cannot be properly described. Even the demigods from the higher planetary system see the inhabitants of this Jagannath Puri as having exactly the same bodily features possessed by one in Vaikuntha, that is the demigods, see the inhabitants of Jagannath Puri as being four-handed. When there was a meeting of great sages at Naimisaranya, Suta Goswami was reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, and the importance of the Ganges was stated as follows. The waters of the Ganges are always carrying the flavor of tulasi offered at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, and as such, the waters of the Ganges are ever flowing, spreading the glories of Lord Krishna. Wherever the waters of the Ganges are flowing, all will be sanctified both externally and internally.
So here, three places are glorified. One is Dwarka. So we saw in Skanda Puran that even if someone stays in Dwarka for one fortnight, elevation to Vaikuntha is confirmed. Similar statement is there for Mathura also. It is said in Mathura Mandal also, if someone stays for a fortnight, then his liberation is guaranteed. So actually we'll read once, when we come to the last 5 aspects, that is Mathura Vas. So we'll actually try to read some sections from Mathura Mahatma, from different scriptures. So you'll see that how it's glorious to live in a dham. So this is also one of the important principles of devotional service. And so sometimes when people say, Arey Prabhuji, shall we leave everything, come to dham? So the answer is very simple. What is the answer?
Wherever you are,
wherever you are, make it a dham, but that should not be excuse of not coming to dham. You should do both. So the place where you're making that, you should make dham, but Srila Prabhupada himself taught by example, and he instructed all disciples to come to Vrindavan every Kartik, to go to Mayapur during Gaur Purnima, so that devotees also go to dham. They should not simply, oh no, my home is dham, why I have to go to dham? No. Prabhupada said that dham has its own potency. We must go to dham. So this is sometimes I see many devotees, they make this excuse. Arey, my home is dham, why I have to go to dham? No. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself went to Vrindavan. What was the need? Wherever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is Vrindavan, is Krishna himself, but still he came to dham, Vrindavan dham. Just to set an example that everybody should go there. Prabhupada, every year, Gaur Purnima, he asked all the devotees throughout the world to come there. Then he asked all devotees to come to Vrindavan. So because he wanted devotees to come to dham, this part of 64 angas of devotional service. Twice it has been mentioned. You will see now it's like number 7, and then later in the last 5 also the same thing will be repeated. Second example is Jagannath Puri, that how all the inhabitants of Jagannath Puri are 400. And third is about Ganga, the glories of Mother Ganga, from first canto of Bhagavatam, where it is stated that how water of Ganges carries the flavor of Tulsi offered at Krishna's lotus feet, and whoever stays near Ganga is very glorified. Yavai lasa Shri Tulasi Vimishra Krishnangri Renu Abhyadikambu Netri Punati Seshan Ubhayatra Lokan Kastam Naseveta Marishyamanaha. Okay, next, number 8. Accepting only what is necessary. Yavat Arthanu Vartita. Okay, who will read this? Someone please read. Yes, Meghna Mataji.
In the Naradiya Puran, it is directed, one should not accept more than necessary if he is serious about discharging devotional service. The purport is that one should not neglect following the principles of devotional service, nor should one accept the ruling of devotional service, which are more than what he can easily perform. For example, it may be said that one should chant the Hare Krishna mantra at least 100,000 times daily on his knees. But if this is not possible, then one must minimize his chanting according to his own capacity. Generally, we recommend our disciples to chant at least 16 rounds on their japa beads daily, and this should be completed. But if one is not even able to chant 16 rounds, then he must make it up the next day. He must be sure to keep his vow. If he does not strictly follow this out, then he is sure to be negligent. That is offensive in the service of the Lord. If we encourage offenses, we shall not be able to make progress in devotional service. It is better if one fixes up a regulative principle according to his own ability and then follows that norm without fail. That will make him advanced in spiritual life. Thank you.
Okay. So here, there are two meanings of this. One is that materially speaking, so what we should accept, so yavat syat swa nirvaha, what is necessary for our sustenance. That means we should not be greedy of accumulating more and more money or more and more things. That is one meaning. Second, whatever is our capacity for in bhakti, we should do that. So in that, Prabhupada gives the example that we may not have the capacity to chant 64 rounds, so we should not imitate. But 16 rounds is something minimum. And Prabhupada actually gives a thing here that by chance, actually we should never try to make 16 rounds. But by chance, if we make 16 rounds, then we should try to chant the next day. We must try to chant the next day. Okay, number 9. I think we'll end a little early today. Just quickly we'll try to finish. We'll do these 10 principles today and remaining we'll do next class. So 9th one is observing Ekadashi, fasting on Ekadashi. The Sanskrit word is Hari Vasara Sammanu. So Hari Vasara. So Ekadashi is called Hari Vasara. That means Hari Vas karte Ekadashi. So please read.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, please.
Observing fasting on Ekadashi. In the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, it is said that one who observes fasting on Ekadashi day is freed from all kinds of reactions to sinful activities and advances in pious life. The basic principle is not just to fast, but to increase one's faith and love for Govinda or Krishna. The real reason for observing fasting on Ekadashi is to minimize the demands of the body and to encourage our time in the service of the Lord by chanting or performing similar service. The best thing to do on fasting days is to remember the pastimes of Govinda and to hear his holy name constantly.
Yes, thank you. Very important. So what is Ekadashi? Prabhupada so nicely defines in one line. The real reason for observing fasting on Ekadashi is to minimize the demands of the body and to engage our time in the service of the Lord by chanting or performing similar service. And so that too, Prabhupada says Brahma Vaivarta Puran in the exact shloka that is quoted is Sarva Papa Prashamanam Punyam Atyantikam Tatha Govinda Smaranam Ninam Ekadasyam Uposhanam. So 3 benefits of Ekadashi is given. One is destroys all sins. We get a lot of piety, but more important that Ekadashi helps us to remember the Lord. Govinda Smaranam Ninam. So very, sometimes you must have some practical experience, I don't know. At least I have seen many times. On normal days, it's very difficult to chant extra. But at Ekadashi, somehow it becomes easy to chant. That's the mercy of Ekadashi Devi. It's a Hari Vasar. Lord Hari resides in that day. So therefore, we should take opportunity of the day of Ekadashi. Reduce, what Prabhupada said, 2 things we should do. Reduce our
Bodily necessity.
Demands of the
bodily
body.
necessities.
Demands.
Like for example, we don't take breakfast. So we save half an hour. We sleep little, so we can sleep little less. Reduce our bodily demands and increase our devotional service. 10th. Okay, read please. 10th one.
Offering respect to the banyan trees. In the Skanda Purana, it is directed that a devotee should offer water to the Tulsi plant and Amlaka trees. He should offer respect to the cows and to the Brahmanas and should serve the Vaishnavas by offering them respectfully obeisances and meditating upon them. All of these processes will help the devotee to diminish the reactions to his past sinful activities.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So I think we'll end here. So we covered 10 items. So 10th item is offering respect to banyan tree. So Ammalaki, Brahmanas, Vaishnavas. Actually, so if you see the exact Sanskrit term, it is said Dhatri Ashwathidi Gauravam Yatha Skande. So actually in that verse from Skanda Puran, it is said that we should worship 5 things actually. If you can actually note down also, in that exact shloka it is said that by respecting Ashwatha, that is banyan tree, Tulasi, then Dhatri, which is Amalaki tree, then Go, that is cows,
Cows.
then Bhumi Sura, that means Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. So kitne ho gaye? Ashwatha, Tulasi, Amalaki, cow, Brahmana, Vaishnava. So 6 things are mentioned in this shloka of
Yes.
Skanda Puran. So Prabhupada in the translation, I mean in the Nectar of Devotion, doesn't mention about cows, but it's very important also, because sometimes one may say that where is Go Puja mentioned in the 64 items? So this is the item, in the 10th item. This is all Tadiya Upasanam actually. 10th item. So whatever is connected to Krishna, like Tulasi, Ashwatha, Amalaki. So Amla is very auspicious. Amla. Then Gomata, Brahmanas and Vaishnava. So these are the 10 important items that we must all do. And in fact, there's a nice verse that Gavam Kanduyanam Kuryat Go Grasam Go Pradakshinam Goshu Nityam Prasannasu Gopalopi Prasidati. And Lord Gopal becomes very pleased with someone who goes and have darshan of the cows. He does, he scratches the cow's back, he feeds the cows, he does parikama of the cows, and Lord Govinda is very happy. So these are the first 10 do's, and the next 10 will come as don'ts, what we should not do. That is, we should not associate with people who are non-devotees, and like that. There will be 10 other don'ts. So today we stop at this point. We read the 10 do's. So as we continue, there's a question about deity worship standard. So of course, another separate item will be coming for that. But just to briefly answer, so it all depends, like the minimum standard of any home is that we should definitely have pictures of the deities, and we should at least perform Aarti once and offer all our bhoga to Krishna. That is the minimum standard. Again, depending on the time, place, circumstance, how much time you have, what services you have, with the blessings of your guru, with the Diksha Siksha Guru, you can always keep deities at home also, like Gaur Nitai or simple, you can do that. So it all depends. There's no general answer for it. As a minimum standard, we should definitely do Aarti once a day and offer bhoga. So at least in the morning, 1 Aarti should be done, and bhoga should be offered. So at least there's a minimum standard that everybody should have. Okay. Okay, so thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, Hare. Yes.
Sorry, Prabhuji, which aarti? Like we have Mangal Aarti, we have Narsimha Aarti. Lot of aartis can be done in the morning. So which aarti should be done in the morning? Like if we are performing aarti once a day, so which aarti can be done?
See, aarti is like doing aarti. Singing, you can sing anything you want. Best is you can sing Sansara Dava and followed by Hare Krishna.
Okay.
If you are doing it early morning, I mean around 6, 7, you can, doesn't matter. Simply you can chant Namo Vishnupada and the Mahamantra.
Okay.
But at least 1 Aarti. And evening, if you're doing Aarti, then you can chant Gora Aarti. Jai Jai Gora Shande, right?
And Roji, like what's the minimum deity paraphernalia which must be there for aarti? Like agarbatti, like all.
Yeah, see, it is said that basic, I mean, we must definitely have flowers is very important paraphernalia for worshipping. So flowers, agarbatti, and lamp.
Lighting lamp.
Basic, I mean, we should have all. It's not very basic. It takes hardly 10 minutes to do aarti. Like first incense, then the aarati lamp, and then water with the conch shell, then little cloth, and then flowers, and then chamar. Everybody can keep these 4-5 items. Not a big deal. But if suppose you're going to place where you don't have, then at least incense and flowers. We must offer both.
Okay. And Prabhuji, like if we have deities laminations, and there are so many laminations in the altar, And for incense, we need to rotate 7 times, and then for lamp, need to rotate 4, 2, 3, and 7. So for all the
It
laminations,
depends. If you have all the laminations, then you need not do that 4, 3, 2 for every picture. Then actually do 7 together. So you have to be a little practical also. So that you have to see based on the time that you have.
Okay, thank you for the check.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions from anyone?
And
There
Prabhuji,
is a
like,
point that one should not read too many books.
Yes, Abhishek, can you speak louder?
So there is a point that one should not read too many books.
We'll come to that. I think that's the next 10 don'ts. So when we discuss that, we'll come to that point. So basically here, too many books means like going outside our parampara and trying to read many other more philosophical books or trying to read here and there, So that is not necessary. Whatever books the Prabhupada has given, that is more than enough. And if you have time, of course, we can read Goswami books also. Okay, so we'll end here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Ram Ram Hare
Ila Upadesh Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu ki jai, Sacred Devotion ki jai.
Hare.